And you are listening to Fanboy Versus. I'm your host, JD. Today I am joined by XV, Brian Kilby, Chris McFeely, Chris Triplett, and Amy.
Hello.
Yes, it is Amy. We, today, are Fanboy Versus Drift, hence why Amy is here. If you listen to Radio Free Cybertron, you know that we had a bit of a discussion about why we don't talk about Transformers comics on this show. Mainly because they suck.
I haven't listened to this week yet.
I would love to talk about Transformers comics if they would actually put something out that I want to talk about.
Amy, yes, and so Amy disagreed, and since Drift is what's out, we're going to be talking about that. I actually paid money for some of these issues.
So did I.
And I'm going to send Amy the bill. But anyway, we'll talk about that. We're also going to talk about comics as well, and then at the end of the show, we're going to talk about Earth's Mightiest Heroes, the Avengers, the new animated series that is out.
Stick with us, folks. It'll get good at the end once we get past Drift. We promise.
I need to watch this.
So XV is going to go take a nap, and then we'll get to the rest of the show. I'm going to assume there's not a lot of news. I'm going to hope there's not anyway, so that we can get into this Drift discussion.
I haven't seen any. Barring the fact that the Marvel solicitations for January came out, and there are more new books at $3.99 and new books at $2.99. You fucking liars!
Yeah, it's a typo, right?
There's nothing else you can say about it. It's like, you liars! Where are my cheap comics?
Well, it's no new series, right? Those are all minis and stuff, right?
I think they almost entirely are, yes, but that is still. That is like the latter of the statement, not the spirit.
See, what Marvel didn't tell you is they're canceling all their monthly titles and everything's going to go to mini. So if they $4.
Just a series of continuing sequential.
Yeah,
it's a 24-issue mini happening over 2 years.
Well,
they're calling it season 1, and then it ends, and then the next mini starts.
Right. Season 2.
There's a whisper of a comic coming down to $2.99 either.
So
I support Marvel and everything, but when you lie like that, that is, you're going to raise my ire.
You're going to make a promise. You got to carry through, right?
Yeah, I think it was. I mean, I think that proves more than anything else that was mere bandwagoning and not, not something that they had really planned, and it may take. Who knows? They may do some of that, and the market may force them to. Or maybe it'll force them to make better comics. Who knows? I'll hold my breath for that. So, speaking of better comics, IDW.
Are we going here first? Okay.
Yeah, we're going to go here.
Better comics.
Amy is here for a limited engagement, so we're going to do the Drift discussion first.
So XV gets to sit and suffer while we talk crap for 2 hours, but Amy gets to just pop in and out?
Yeah, XV's a good sport, and we appreciate it.
And everybody likes Amy better.
So,
that's reasonable.
That's probably more so.
You asshole.
Oh, come on. There's going to be love for XV.
But you got a busy afternoon planned,
Yeah.
Okay. You have no children, so
that we know of.
That we know of.
Or that I know of.
Okay, so Drift. Amy, talk to me about Drift. Tell me about it, I guess. Let's start there.
Okay. Well, first of all, it was a character that Shane created in All Hail Megatron. And everybody's been kind of like, oh, this new character, why didn't we get somebody else that has more background? Yeah. And so it's kind of been coming down the line that we were going to get a story about Drift and how he became, Drift. And so
tell the audience something about Drift, because we do have non-Transformer fans in the audience.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. Well, basically, in All Hail Megatron, we get this character that is an ex-con, and he's now an Autobot, and they kind of out him. They don't really like him, but they put up with him. We get a spotlight as well that also kind of highlighted how he kind of joined the Autobots. it doesn't happen very often that we get a con to bot or a bot to con story. There's very few of them. I mean, of course, I said this on the IDW boards, and then I got a whole list of people that have been cons and gone to Autobots, and Autobots that have been Decepticons. But in the IDW verse, I think this is the first one. Please tell me if I'm wrong. McFeely?
You mean that IDW specifically?
Yeah. IDW has not done.
IDW told them.
It has not done a story like this. I mean, there have been bot con to bot, stories before, but this is the first that IDW has ever done. So, basically, when they created Shane was looking for a character that he wanted to have something like this, and then he had in one of our interviews with him, he said that he also had a roommate at the time that liked the drift cars that they have over in Japan that do the drift racing, and so they were wondering, well, why don't we make a Transformer that can do that? So that's kind of the premise of this is the character that he's kind of looking for, and so that's what they made. And when they pitched it, they didn't really know whether or not it was going to actually go by Hasbro and they'd be all right with it. But they thought, well, we'll just do it and see what happens. And it just so happened that Hasbro liked the idea, and so because of that, they started really. They made a toy, and they kind of pushed it as their new pet toy or pet project. Of look, it's Drift. He's cool. He's awesome. And so that's kind of the premise that kind of has led up to what we have with Drift right now. Is that everybody was kind of. I have to say, I really wasn't paying attention at the time, so I really don't remember all of the Hasbro announced this, and everybody was ranting and raving about it, and I was like, oh, okay. I really wasn't paying attention at the time, because I've only been reviewing comics since the beginning of this year, so. But yeah, that's kind of it. Is that it's the story of Drift, how he becomes a con, and then goes. And decides to join the Autobot, or at least leave the cons. And what we assumed when I first picked this up is I thought we were going to see him actually join the Autobots. So
and this is so essentially this is a prequel. I'm sorry, McFeely, go ahead.
I'll just say we saw that in the spotlight.
Yeah, and I didn't really. I guess my expectation was in this story that we were going to see him. Leave the cons and go all the way over to the other side with the Autobots. And yet, at the end of this, we actually don't. He doesn't go there. But yeah, you're right. We got that in the spotlight. That's how he joined the Autobots, but we never got to see how he left the cons to begin with. And we got that in this mini.
This seems really derivative, but I can't place my finger on what it's derivative of. If part of me is thinking, I'm thinking through, what is this a ripoff of? And then my mind drifts, no pun intended, to Smokey and the Bandit. And I'm like, I wish there was a Transformers comic that was a ripoff of Smokey and the Bandit. Why can't Drift be a ripoff of Smokey and the Bandit? That would be awesome.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
I've had some people reference that it's almost kind of like Dancing with Wolves or, The Last Samurai, where,
Haven't watched them.
Okay, yeah.
That's why. Oh, so it's an archetype. I'm just not educated enough to actually recognize the archetype. Awesome.
I didn't say that at all.
Oh no, that's what I'm saying. I'm free to admit that I'm an idiot. So,
who is doing the art on this?
Alex Milne is doing the art, and Josh Perez is doing the colors.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was written by Shane McCarthy.
Yeah, I realized that. That's great.
Great in inverted commas.
That guy that started out really strong on All Hail Megatron, and then it went really crap.
I think
nothing
he did a
against the
stronger
guy. I'm
story
sure he's
this
a nice
time
guy.
I'm sure he's a nice guy. That's awesome. Burn.
Okay. No, and I don't want to seem like I'm just piling it on. Like I'm saying this is crap because I'm expecting it to be crap. I really came into reading this and trying to be open about what the story was, what it could be, what it, because I really don't know anything about Drift. I didn't read the ongoing. I didn't even get through all of All Hail Megatron to get to the part where Drift was, and I just know what people have said. So I was like, I want to actually read it and look at it. Right off the bat, part of my problem was some of the art. Initially, it's not so bad, but when you get into the issue, all of the characters are the goddamn same. Like the models
as design, as like
the models are almost all exactly the same.
Like no G2 versions of them, I take it. Sorry.
Right.
Yeah, I just want,
well,
if they're all, even if they're the same design, it's like model, whatever. If they had interesting paint apps in the comic.
Even if they were all the same design, but it's not that they're the same design. It's they're so bloody homogenous.
Yes. Yeah,
it's not a question of repetition of generic or drawn to be similar. It's just that Alex Milne's school of design is Bishan and Gundam, not the Transformer.
Yeah, and there's just no, like, half the time I couldn't tell this Wind and Drift apart.
Yeah.
It took me a little bit to figure out who's who in each panel, mainly because the way that this Wind character is drawn is a lot like Drift looks later, after he, I don't know, does his rebuild thing or whatever, and it just didn't, I don't know. Like, that was annoying, first off.
So Drift gets rebuilt?
Well, he rebuilds-ish himself.
They say so anyway, but it's not like you just tell visually.
Kind of like Kit from Knight Rider, Season 5 or whatever it is.
Yeah, it doesn't really make any sense either. But, I mean, just looking at the cover of issue 2, I mean, they all have the big round shoulder things and the head fins. I mean, it all looks the same. Like,
yeah, it's amazing that they all look the same, even though they've just met, like, in this series.
Exactly. I mean, Rip looks exactly like you guys.
We did actually interview Alex, and we actually asked him about that, and he did make differences between each of them. But at the same time, they also do have kind of a cohesive look because they're also the knights. They are this circle of light, and they're the leaders of Crystal City. And I think that really became apparent. You said you didn't get issue 4, but in issue 4, there's a panel where Diatlas actually joins in the fight, and he brings in the whole rest of the city with him. And you can actually see that we've gotten all of the various designs. There's a couple that kind of have this G1 kind of look, but that's they're in the background, so they weren't really focused on because they were part of the battle, but they were just that one scene. So
yes, but there's looking similar because you're adhering to the same school of design, and there is indecipherable homogeny, which is what these are. Look at Last Stand of the Wreckers, where Nick Roach designs a sea of generic characters, adhering very smartly to the general aesthetic of the late G1, early 90s Euro period, where they're so well designed as to be immediately recognizable as distinct individuals, but you have to pause and say, is that someone I should know from a toy or not? Because the design is so on the nose. He's captured the spirit of the design of the era and not some generic mid-1980s anime, the way Alex Milne has.
Is he always like that in his other ones? I mean, I don't have some of his other ones in front of me, or is it just something that you guys see a lot in this mini specifically?
Well, this mini specifically, but the only other example, because he doesn't do a lot of generic stuff, but there was that lithograph of the Elite Guard that he produced for BotCon. BotCon. Not a lithograph, even just an image, which was a sea of Generation 1 characters and 3 original designs, which stuck out like the bloodiest of sore thumbs in that sea because they just didn't look like, if you know what I mean. I don't have a lot of kind words to say about Alex Milne.
And it's just, and that's what it's like.
I'll like under it at that.
Well, and I think with good point though, because like I said,
I'm done.
I mean, if you're telling a story within a visual medium and you're telling it with brand new characters, there's got to be some distinction between them, and not just this, like you said, just not this monotony. I mean, they just, I don't know, they all look the same. Anyway, the only other issue, and I don't know, maybe it was just me because of what I expect when I see, I don't know, someone in clothes. I thought that when Wing was introduced, he was smaller, and then suddenly he was a full-sized Transformer. Am I the only one that happened to?
Yeah, I never thought that. I always thought he was a robot.
I immediately assumed he was a Transformer. So.
Yeah.
Well, and part of that comes from the fact that we saw the Spotlight, and the Spotlight actually did the same thing, except Drift was doing it, in the future, and yet this is a story that's in the past, and so we already assumed that just because we had read the Spotlight, and maybe you hadn't done that yet, JD.
Yeah, I hadn't read the Spotlight, so I wasn't aware of that gimmick.
I think it was our first clue that Wing was going to be a Cypherus character that would inevitably die, so that Drift could become a good guy.
Even not having.
I'm
read
sure
4.
you, even if you haven't read the fourth issue, had already leapt ahead to that.
Yeah.
Signposted conclusion.
All right, so let's rip apart the story.
That's story in inverted commas, folks.
Here's my problem. First off, so you have Drift leading this group of Decepticons, and they completely overrun and kill and obliterate this group of Autobots. And then the one guy is pissed off because Drift shot at them and they weren't supposed to fire at them. What fucking Decepticons do you know of that have rules about engagement? I mean, that just seemed very out of character. And then not only that, but Drift does the right and very Decepticon thing by shooting the pussy in the head. Then gets brought back to base and he's still in trouble. What the hell? Like, that makes no sense to me. Just from a story standpoint, it seems very out of character for the Decepticons.
Well, to be fair, rules of engagement are a much bigger thing in the IDW universe than they are in other universes. Although, mind you, that mentality has been abandoned, overlooked, discarded, thrown out, shat upon since Simon Furman was removed being in charge. But when the universe was introduced, this was one of the new and interesting and unusual things about it, was because, hey, they actually did have rules of warfare and methodologies and what was accepted and what wasn't. Now, mind you, I still don't think a Decepticon would have objected to shooting another guy, but...
you'd get promoted if I was writing the comic.
Yeah, I mean, this is the kind of stuff that Decepticon empires are built on. Not, we weren't supposed to fire until we were fired upon, and we overrun the Autobots anyway.
I don't have the issue handy, and I'm not wasting time and energy digging it out. But the idea of the Decepticon empire being built on that is not actually what it was about in the IDW universe. Again, it was about secretly infiltrating planets and civilizations and not engaging them directly like this.
Decepticons, they deceive people.
Ah, very good.
Oh, it makes sense now.
No, totally. 25 years later.
So again, and I tried to not believe the hype about he's Drift, he's awesome. And yet you have this sequence where Drift manages to kick Turmoil's gun out of the way, run out of a room filled with Decepticons, get shot multiple times, jump into an escape pod, shut down the security systems on the ship, and crash land on a planet largely undetected.
Wow, he's awesome.
He's awesome.
Let's rewind a bit.
Yeah.
I might say he's extreme.
If this was the 90s, his name would be X Drift or something.
Yeah. Weapon X Drift. That was. I was talking to my shop owner, and I was trying to describe Drift's mentality. It's like, oh, he's Wolverine, huh?
Well, that is how IDW introduced Drift. They said, see, Drift. This is the core problem with Drift, is much less with the character He's not particularly objectionable. I actually had nothing against Drift before this miniseries. It's the presentation of the character. IDW introduced this guy in a blog post months before he ever appeared in a comic, and announced his spotlight months before he ever appeared in a comic, with the announcement that he was going to be their Wolverine.
Yeah.
And it immediately set people off on the bat because it doesn't allow the character. It attaches all these preconceptions to the character. Ultimately,
well, especially for a known character like Wolverine.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, Wolverine is absolutely not a non-character. Wolverine is very developed.
No. I said known, a known character.
Oh, sorry. I thought you said non-character.
Sorry.
Gotcha.
for all that he's ever actually done in the 2 years since he's actually appeared, Drift has never actually been particularly objectionable as a character because he's never done anything.
No.
He had a spotlight. He pops up and does something nifty every once in a while, and sometimes does something really stupid, like plays Go with... Who was he playing Go with? Cliffjumper or Cup or something? Blur, thank you. Despite never having been on Earth, you know. But the idea behind the editor and the idea of him even getting a toy when he had done nothing fictionally to justify any of this attention, he had editorially, and then the problem that I'm about to describe made the leap from editorial to actual story structure with this mini is they simply tell us he is awesome and do nothing to justify.
His toy is awesome.
The toy is completely awesome, yes. But you know that by having it in your hand and experiencing it. Whereas the comic simply tells us he is cool and that we should care because of that. Not that we should build up any understanding of the character and come to understand him as cool through his actions, but that he is already awesome and we should care because of that. That is the central flaw of Drift, be it an editorial or a storytelling one.
Well, now, is that because Hasbro already established that he was cool, or is it because when you open up this comic, they say Drift is cool?
Yeah, I think it's typified by this whole sequence with Megatron, where Megatron selects Drift out of the entire group of all of these Decepticon recruits to tell him how awesome he is.
Yeah, how awesome is Drift?
Well, we'll look at it this way. Most Transformers characters never get any fiction. They're just a text spec. If you look at Drift's blog post as a text spec, and it's telling you outright that he's cool, you can expect when his comic to come out that he is cool.
That scene with Megatron.
I didn't see any of that, so I didn't assume that he was cool. I just heard everybody saying that, going, "Oh, okay, well, I guess he is then, right?"
Bad.
I mean, take it for what it's worth. It's coming from fans that have read it somewhere, you know.
But
not that that's a bad thing.
He'd never done anything to justify his rap. You know, he did generic, cool ninja things like sneak up on Mirage when he was invisible. That's how cool Drift is. Wow. How cool is Drift? Drift is so cool. Megatron picked him out personally. And it was like each issue of this miniseries incrementally increased this bullshit. The second issue was like, how cool is Drift? He's so cool. Megatron picked him out personally. Third issue, how cool is Drift? Drift is so cool. He is as important as Starscream and Soundwave in the hierarchy. Balls.
Yeah, because that was established even in the first one. Because when they say that he's
and in his defense, I have to say this also happened a very, very long time ago. So even if he was important, he isn't anymore.
But that's it exactly. It's piling on backstory that just tells us he is cool because that happened, not out of anything he ever actually did as a character for us to come and grow and learn about. It's he was like that, so you will like him now.
Well, I thought they actually did do that well because we didn't see a lot of it. Like, we didn't see like his whole history, but we did see moments where, you know, he says that he was found out. A friend of his pulled him out of the gutter, which was this guy Gasket. And the reason why he turned into a con is because he was killed by the Autobot police in an accident, and it pushed him over the edge, and he became a bot out of control, basically.
Yes, I liked that story when I read it, and it was about the Shredder and Karai, too, and about every other samurai orphan they adopted over the years.
Darn.
It was, to be honest now, it was the one element of the... this miniseries is everything you would ever have expected to have happened in Drift's past that we'd already learned about, with no surprises, except perhaps that. It was, I freely admit, the one element I did not expect to see them add into it, but it is just as contrived and Mary Sue-ish as anything else that is in this miniseries.
You know what would make it interesting for me is if it turned out that Drift was a fraud and everything that we know about him was a lie and he was really a nobody in the Decepticon army.
Yeah,
I think that would actually make him
awesome.
interesting.
That would be really interesting. I would go for that. Here was the point in issue 3 that I lost it. So we get to this point in the story where Drift came to this planet. They ran into the slavers. The slavers figured out there's more Autobots there, so they want to take the Autobots to become immortal. So they're not really slavers. They're actually body snatcher, tech junkies, whatever.
Cannibals. I kind of look at them as cannibals.
Well, cannibals. They're not really
race.
kind. They're trying to take technology.
It's a cool idea. It's a cool idea for an alien race in Transformers. So.
What would they describe it? Oh, they're the Borg of the Transformers.
Yeah, they're kind of Borgish.
Well, they're more like what were the characters from Insurrection that were like incorporating other life into themselves? A lot like that. Yeah. That's fine.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's a good analogy
it's
right there.
It's an interesting idea for characters to appear that are going to be interacting with mechanoids. So.
Yeah. So Drift decides to pseudo-sell them out, but not really, because he's going to come back and tell them, hey, you're just going to have to fight to live, When he could have just told them no, like that would have been honorable and gotten himself slagged, and that would have been great, but that would have been very interesting for the story. So he comes back and tells Diatlas, well, you're just going to have to fight. Okay, great. So they end up putting the strike force together of 3 or 4 dudes.
Actually, it was more like 20.
Okay, whatever.
There were plenty of dudes.
I didn't get to it. I didn't get to the... Yeah, I guess there was more that showed up at the end. But initially it was like Wing and a couple other guys. Yeah. This was the part that turned me off. When Wing turns to Drift and says, you don't need to fight with us. What the fuck? Yes, he does. He's the one that got you into this goddamn mess. Why the hell would you have him stay behind in the place that nobody likes him anyway? What? I mean, that just doesn't...
He was testing him.
Whatever. It just...
Issue 3 was actually also my breaking point. I wasn't minding it for the first 2 issues. I didn't think it was... I thought, but I wasn't hating it until the 3rd issue. Because the 3rd issue is... it's like Megatron Origin all over again. Drift is different now, but the change has come off-panel between issues with no real justification for why he is different now, except because it's what happens whenever you hang out with honorable dudes.
Yeah. He hung out and trained or whatever, and
for
then
a page.
Well, and the other thing is they pulled in Lockdown for this, which is like...
Oh, I was going to get to that. That's the only cool thing about this series. Lockdown's in it.
but that just reeks me because they have a character that people actually have gravitated to because that character is cool.
We didn't get any preconceptions about Lockdown. Lockdown came into animated, fresh as a daisy. Nobody had any preconceptions about him, and he established himself as being cool, mainly by being voiced by Lance Heinrich. But through his abilities and his attitude and the things that he actually accomplished. And he became so popular that, here we're looking at a G1 version of Lockdown, who is in turn visually based on a movie-verse version of Lockdown. That's a character who has, justified this sort of thing. And I remain amazed that Lockdown already had his hook hand in this, because I would have bet cash money that Drift would have chopped his hand off by the end of this thing, because that is so friggin' contrived that could.
That is the only cliche missing from the whole scenario, isn't it?
Yeah. This is the problem.
Literally.
It was redesigned. Alex did have another version of him, but Hasbro said no. He has to have a hook. So in that regard, it wasn't.
The redesign was pretty different looking anyway. I just think that maybe it never occurred to them to be that contrived.
Well, in that case, because we asked him about that too, because we thought, oh, he's got a hook hand, and he said when we interviewed him that exactly that that Hasbro called that one, and they had to use it that way because of that.
I would love to know if when they were going with the hookless design, that was actually what they intended to do, was have Drift chop it off. Because JD, I know you haven't read the 4th issue, but you can see from a million miles away that the way it's going to go is that Wing dies and Drift takes his giant sword and kills the person that killed him, and that is the issue.
Yep. And now Drift is... Yeah, exactly. I mean...
And I figured it would be Lockdown, because, then maybe a character somebody cared about would have done something. But no, it's Mr. Faceless Purple Alien, whose name I believe was only even revealed in this issue. I don't remember him even having a name in the previous issue.
It was revealed in issue 4.
Yeah. Well, he pops up, gets a name long enough for Drift to bisect him, and then that's it.
And that again is how Drift is.
And it's
awesome.
Who cares that guy is dead? There's nothing there.
No, that's of no value. I mean, it's a character that was
name. I had to be told his name,
So, I get it. He created a character. He thinks it's cool. IDW needs us to think that a character they made is cool. But I'm with McFeely. I think they've just gone about it the wrong way, and I don't know how they salvage it at this point.
Would this actually meet Rob Power's old fanfic guide about creating characters?
Nope. Can you pull that up and can we test it?
I mean, well, I
don't know what it is offhand.
It's basically that writing a character that is secretly your own self-image, and trying to
being Furman's Grimlock.
Yeah, exactly. And then winding up being the leader, getting to Matrix.
You mean Furman's
Grimlock?
Well, he didn't do that.
Not yet.
He got a magic sword.
Hasn't gone to that extreme. Gee.
He got a magic sword, and he was like, "You are the best of us, even though you have only been here a week. Take this."
McFeely, I think you could have stopped after he got a magic sword.
Sorry?
I said I think you could have stopped after he got a magic sword.
Yeah, well, they didn't. So why should I? And let me just move away from Drift for a moment to hit upon another bugbear I have with this series. And the leader of the Circle of Light, the factionless Transformers who don't like to fight, is Dai Atlas, the Autobot leader from Japan's Zone series from 1990. Dai Atlas, who chopped Predaking in half. Dai Atlas, who mercilessly killed every Decepticon in his way. Dai Atlas, who... We've made a series about the Japanese Transformer. Who can we put in charge of the secret super fast samurai faction? How about Dai Atlas? He's from Japan. That's not what fucking Dai Atlas is about. Just because Animated did it, that's a different universe and a different character. This is Generation 1 Dai Atlas, and you've turned him into something he never was and never should have been just because he came from in Japan.
Maybe they should have used Grandis.
Yeah.
I'm moderately amazed Grandis wasn't their base. So, I mean, in a sense, I guess I could almost say that this series impresses me by not just being completely 100% contrived. Oh, yeah. All 2 pages with Drift actually drifting up a mountain in Japan covered in cherry blossoms.
And then TFW 2005 got a reference in here somewhere, and that just really turned me off the whole thing.
Remember when that was cool last in 2003?
Yeah, wasn't that in... Yeah, didn't Pat Lee do that stuff too?
No, it was actually more Don Fig used to do it.
Oh, okay.
Give me a second. I think I can find
Oh, yeah, because Pat Lee didn't draw anything.
Yeah, so I wasn't objecting to this miniseries for the first 2 issues. I still felt it seemed a little needless, but it wasn't bad over the first 2. But the 3rd and 4th issues just sunk down into the most contrived pap, delivering absolutely no surprises, except maybe the surprise that it wasn't as contrived as I envisioned it being. And it's the fact that it really adds nothing to Drift's backstory that we didn't know already, except for the circumstances of his departure. Well, not even that. Everything we knew about Drift already. This could have been a spotlight. This could have been a single issue thing. Honestly, the 4 issues is massive overkill, and it just verifies the notion that this was some kind of IDW and/or Shane McCarthy vanity project. Honestly, it's not your time and effort. I mean, the ongoing is not good either. I'm not saying go and read that instead. Believe me. that's a solid idea, ruined by glacial pacing and sidelining and depowering of what should be its central characters. This wasn't even a good idea.
Well, this is better than ongoing, I'd have to say.
I've never tossed an issue of the ongoing aside in annoyance after finishing it. That's all I can say. Which is, I mean, and it took until the final issue of Drift before I did that. But this final issue was just.
I liked it. I liked it all the way through. What can I say? I'm a sellout. I've sold my soul.
Well,
my husband said, "You mean you sold it to IDW?"
Pretty much. They're going to take it at $4 an issue.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, I don't want to seem like we're piling it on, and again, we don't do a lot of reviews in these comics just because, I think it's apparent we don't, as far as we as the cast on this show, don't get it.
See eye to eye with it, maybe.
I gotta go take a volley.
I'm the only one that likes Drift, then.
I'm afraid so.
I think so.
I wish Ender was around to tell us what he thinks of Drift.
I know.
Ender hasn't read it yet.
You know what? Anytime I've ever asked Ender, this is his response. Who's Drift?
Yeah.
I saw him say on the Moonbase 2 that he was contemplating breaking his moratorium to read it. And I don't know whose reaction, mine or Amy's, prompted him to make that decision. So maybe
I'm scared.
Yes, I'm a little scared.
I could probably predict how he would probably react. And he'd probably say, like I said, I've asked him before, who's Drift? He said, who's Drift? So he's not even on his radar.
No, well, knowing Ender, I would assume that's not. I mean, I may be wrong, but it may not be a who's Drift as far as not knowing who Drift is, but who's Drift is why is he important or should I care?
Exactly. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
So,
why is he important and why should I care? That's him.
And I don't know that there is an answer to that question.
Your question.
Yeah.
So, anyway, there you go.
This miniseries does not give you a reason to care about Drift. It merely reinforces the notion that you already should.
Right. You should already know that this character is awesome. Megatron loves him.
And if that's good enough, then you should too.
That should be enough.
And what premise do you want in order to care about him? Because reading about him, I do care. I do care what happens to him. I care about him, after reading issue 2. Because I get more of an idea of why it is that he joined the cons.
So he joined, but still, okay, but even at that, I mean, he joined the Decepticons because he was living in the gutters and his friend accidentally died. You know what I mean? It's like...
Well, from his point of view, it wasn't an accident, but from our point of view, it was.
Well, I do like a bit of the idea of corrupt Autobot. I'm always interested by the idea of like a corrupt Autobot hierarchy, which is something animated did. But in answer to the question, I don't need a spotlight to tell me why I should care about the character. The reason that and I think most people, and I think the very idea of the Spotlight comic even existed, is so that the characters that we had come to love through their bits in other stories could get time to shine on their own. Whereas Drift is being thrust to the fore on his own to say, you should care about this guy without any preamble.
Like, here's the difference. Like, here's
but
if
Wolverine didn't get his own comic until he'd made his rep by being part of the X-Men.
Absolutely.
Right, they're forcing
and then they
Drift to go
oversold it.
backwards.
Yeah.
Yeah. What they should have done.
You're giving a Drift a spotlight out of the gate.
Shane got
you can't make a Wolverine.
Yeah, he just got too excited about it. Like if this character, I would almost bet money, and there's no way to know, but you know what I mean. If you were to take this character and they would have not done the blog post, not done the pushing this character to the forefront, does his appearance, does his few little things, build his rep that way, then people get interested. Who's this character? Then they want to know more. Then you can do some of these more interesting things, and people would gravitate for it. But I think that they're working so hard now to say, no, you really need to know this guy is awesome, that they've lost all credibility.
People were.
So would you say Drift is basically a victim of bad marketing?
In many ways, yes.
Yeah, I would think so.
It's certainly not helping anything, no.
But it's with this miniseries that the bad marketing metamorphosed into bad storytelling. Right. The intent of the because the intent of the marketing to tell you he's awesome became the thrust of the story before anything else. Nobody was beating down Hasbro's door begging for a Drift toy, but he got one anyway because he's.
And I'm glad that we did.
Well, yeah, Drift is very nice toy. That's all.
But people have been asking for nearly 20 years for a G-Axis toy. Someone who appeared in a comic with no preamble, built up a rep as a comic original character, became very popular, and people want a toy of him, If Drift had been left alone, people would have been pounding the door down asking for a Drift toy. But the idea that we got a Drift toy before anybody was really asking or caring about it is just another symptom of the bad marketing of the character. I don't know if bad is the right. Over-marketing? Excess marketing? Gratuitous marketing? I don't know. Bad doesn't seem like the word for it. But the marketing is what the character
And I'll tell you what, and great that Hasbro put it out, but when was the last time anybody was at the store, and how many Drifts are sitting on the pegs right now?
Yeah. I was there this afternoon, and there's 0.
Really?
Well,
Drift
my stores
selling pretty well.
I don't know. My stores, the ones I've been to, it's not. But hey, I live in Oklahoma, so what do I know? Anyway.
I also could have bought a Megatron Dark Mountain Soundwave today if I needed to. So.
So anyway, okay. Well, I don't want to feel. I mean, I don't want you to think we're like
no.
To you. You know what I mean? It's just.
We're having two opposing views here.
Is we're old Transformer snobs too. So I mean, I don't think
we're not.
Well, we're all the old crowd.
Yeah.
We hate things that are new.
Well, we also.
We hate things that are new and bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably and I think this qualifies.
But anyway,
I thought that it was good storytelling. I mean, it was a little cliche. For me, it kind of walked the border between whether or not, if it had gone a little bit further in one direction, I probably would have said, no, this isn't working for me. But it did. So, I mean, it seemed like a very safe story. It gave us a few things that were different that I didn't expect. But other than that,
safe,
it was a very safe.
It's definitely a good word.
Safe is good. Yeah, I think safe.
That's the kindest word. Safe. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what the one direction that it could have gone in was. I think about the only thing left that Drift hasn't done is about how all the girls secretly pine for him, but he won't date any of them because of the woman he loved died. And he blames himself. That's about the last trope that's left in that character. I'm sorry. It's it's inescapable. Anyway. Really.
Yeah. What else came out this week?
Yeah.
Well, okay.
Okay, I guess we're gonna move on then. It's all right.
Yeah, and
this is my favorite episode of Fanboy Versus. I gotta say.
So Amy, you're free. Of course, you're welcome to say. I don't know if you've read other stuff or want to talk about comics.
I haven't read other stuff, but I probably just stay here for a little while longer.
Sure, absolutely.
I wasn't looking at the chat window at all. There's a lot of stuff in here.
Oh wow!
How awesome you are, McFeely.
I wasn't looking either, but man, there's a lot of stuff going by. Somebody encapsulate that while I tell this next story. So we got an email this week, and I kind of want to talk about this real briefly. We got an email this week from a listener, Shockwave75, and
send us your emails.
Yeah, so we do read and listen to the emails here. So I'll just read some of this. Listening to Fanboy Versus right now, I actually like that you guys are spoiling the books that you're reading. That's actually why I listen to the show. It's to hear about goings on in the books that I don't read. It actually really frustrates me when you guys refuse to spoil.
Same here.
Batman came out this week. Some stuff happened, and it was great. Wow, that's some great listening right there. I'm used to but you get the point. I view this podcast the same way I view DVD commentaries. If you listen to it without ever watching the film alone and get pissed because you spoiled the film in the commentary, then you're an idiot. Even when you guys talk about a book that I do read, it doesn't spoil me for it. It makes me want to read it even more. So I vote for spoilers, spoil, spoil, spoil. So, of course, thanks, Shockwave75. I agree. And I'll kind of run that by the panel too. But I think our obligation is to reporting about the comics that came out. And that's why we're talking about things that came out, not stuff that's coming out.
Yeah, the most boring conversations are stuff that we talk around. It's like, oh, well, I don't want to talk. Well, something awesome happened. No, we just need to spoil it. And if it's like super awesome, and like if Drift comes out and he does something exceptionally cool, and then he gets Roboto blown off or something. We can say, well, something awesome happens in the end.
I think we should talk about that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think our policy going forward is going to be that we're basically going to spoil as much as need be. I mean, I don't want to cut out. I mean, like I said, if it's something fun, or definitely we want you to read.
It's not going to be like Darth Vader is Luke Skywalker's father, or there is no God, or anything like that. It's going to be stuff like Electro is in this issue and he died. Congratulations.
Yeah.
I think that's a good idea though, because that's the whole reason why I got into comic books to begin with, is because a year ago, Ender was on Moonbase 2 and he was talking All Hail Megatron. And they were literally spoiling the comics at that point. And I wasn't picking them up, but because of the review, I really started getting interested in the comics. And eventually that's exactly what I did. I started picking them up. I went to the book, down to the local comic shop and started picking up the issues that they said were really good. Because I thought, that does sound kind of cool. I want to go get that.
Yeah.
I'll have Megatron 15.
So I think going forward, that's going to be.
I guess that makes me the odd guy out then.
No, Triplet's the same way.
Oh,
yeah, it's the same way.
I mean,
together.
Double
C powers activate.
What, Triplet? You just garbled.
You chirped out.
Yeah.
What did you say, Triplet?
Sorry, I'm fine with spoiling, just not spoiling something really big in the story.
Yeah.
I agree there. I mean, if it's
any big reviews.
Yeah, like if Dick Grayson dies in the new issue of Batman and Robin, not saying he does. Maybe I don't want to spoil that.
Right.
Actually,
I mean, to say that you view the podcast as a DVD commentary, no. I view it as reviews that should entice people to read the comics.
You just want to sell comics.
You just want to sell stuff. That's just because you sell things.
We bought Taskmaster 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, well.
Actually, okay. Second issue, you said there was a joke that was like laugh out loud funny. I read it, but I couldn't pick out the joke that was supposed to.
Oh, that was the one where he turned out to not be Mexican under all of that.
Ah, got you.
The punchline of the issue where it turned out the Dawn of the Dead wasn't even Mexican was the capper for that issue.
Hilarious.
But but that's what I'm talking about. I want you to people. You look at any site that reviews or anything that reviews films or anything that reviews. You don't blow the twists and turns of the story just because you can talk about it with a little more clarity. The mark of a good review should be able to entice somebody to read the story and speak about the story's strengths and flaws without giving the whole thing away. I don't think a DVD commentary is the right comparison for this at all. It should be a review. If we made the comics, it would be a DVD commentary, but I don't. And you guys spoil away if you want, but I'll continue to dance around.
Well, I think we can spoil with discretion. So I think, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Whenever I write any of my written reviews, if there's a major spoiler in it, I don't usually give that away. I give at least, this is what the plot.
I hold up to that.
If there's anything worth spoiling, because sometimes you get an issue where, the spoiler in it wasn't that big of a reveal or whatever.
That's true, but also, and I know that people don't get their comics on Wednesday, not everyone, But it's not like we're talking pre-release books or anything. We're talking about, last week's books or the books that maybe, when the show posts anyway. It's like the week before.
Yeah, but we're also talking about books somebody might have decided not to pick up until we said something good about them.
True.
I know at least one person has bought Secret Six and Taskmaster off of my recommendation.
We'll tell you what, again, we're going to kind of put this to the listeners too. Send us your feedback. Let us know what you think. I think that we should, just from a reporting standpoint, discussion point standpoint, it's important that we try to talk about the issues as much as we can. I think you're right. If there's a big thing like the whole, like if it was a comic of Empire Strikes Back, and then it's at the end, it's like, oh yeah, and by the way, Vader's Luke's father. That's probably too big, and we probably should have hung on to that. But for other plot twists and turns, I kind of agree with what Shockwave 75 is saying, in the sense that we can't just review a proper review of an issue is just to say stuff happened. I mean, we should talk about it. But anyway,
if we're just going to say stuff happens, we need to say it in like a really funny, incredible.
Well, the two people who are talking in the chat room are supporting me.
That's because it's you, McFeely.
Yeah.
The way I talk about things has made them buy them. So.
Yeah,
bad example.
I agree. You did.
But let's talk about some stuff from this week.
All right, so let's get into it.
You recommend a few things that I'm going to buy when it comes out. So, yeah.
So, well, McFeely, you're all fired up. So why don't you get us started?
Okay, I will. Tiny Titans, hooray! Yeah, I've been talking about Tiny Titans quite a bit lately. This issue could be the funniest issue of Tiny Titans yet this week. This is the all Robin issue of Tiny Titans, in which we see a return appearance by Tim and Jason Toddler, who are the two young boys that Batgirl babysits.
Jason Toddler?
Jason Toddler.
Nice.
Very. Okay. So Batgirl takes them to Aunt Harriet's daycare center this issue, in which they share. They've appeared in previous issues in which they stole Robin's costumes, because Jason Todd and Tim are other Robins, right?
Oh my god!
And they
is that a spoiler?
No, well, maybe. I don't know. You wouldn't know now, would you? But they go to daycare and they share Robin costumes with everybody there, which includes Stephanie Brown and Carrie Kelly. And then Batgirl talks Robin into going and picking them up from daycare. And we get a revisitation of the storyline where Tim and Jason have appeared and done this before. But Robin always starts to get a little sour whenever there are a load of Robins running around. And he tends to put on his Nightwing costume at that point. But then Jason Toddler gets a little tired of all the Robins and decides to put a red bucket on his head instead.
Nice! Why am I not reading this book?
I don't know! This also marks the Tiny Titans debut of Cassandra Cain as well, and Barbara, Batgirl, doesn't take too kindly to the costume she decides to put on as well. And I'm afraid I'm going to dance around the final punchline of the issue, which is just a great one in which Nightwing and Batgirl are sitting on the stoop of, I don't know what that is, a shed from the looks of it. And Robin says, "We need another Nightwing like we need another Robin." And then the final panel appearance is just the laugh out loud moment of the issue again. I'll put it this way: Ra's al Ghul turns up with a wicker basket.
Whoa.
Again, I can never talk about Tiny Titans for any length, simply to say that if you can laugh. If you have love and joy in your soul, Tiny Titans will prompt the right response from you. And it may well be an all-ages book and a children's book, but if you feel you need some sort of justification to buy it, have a kid or something. Because I've said it before, they won an Eisner, best publication for kids. It's Eisner-winning material, and that could potentially be the funniest issue of the series yet. The writer and artist continue to balance an all ages appeal for fans of like older fans of the DC universe, from the Red Hood gags in this one and Cassandra Cain as Batgirl. Just stuff that, without making it complicated or confusing. Yes, Jason Todd has dressed himself up as a Tiny Titans version of the Red Hood, but children will laugh at the fact he walks into a wall because he can't see through his bucket.
I think I might have to pick this up.
I really think you should. You have children, so really,
yeah, I do have kids. Two of them.
Do it,
yeah.
Please. Anybody?
Tiny Titans. Huh?
Tiny Titans.
Tiny Titans.
Okay, what have I got next? Well, at the complete opposite end of the spectrum. You know, apart from Brightest Day and Drift, that's actually it for me this week as far as my regular series goes. I don't know what happened, but I just had nothing else. So I took the opportunity this week to pick up a couple of new things, a couple of new miniseries from Marvel this week. Carnage being the first one. I wouldn't normally be a man to bother with that sort of thing, but it's written by Zeb Wells, who has a very good history of working in the rather niche market of Spider-Man villain-related miniseries. Having written the rather good Venom Dark Origin a year or so ago, and the rather bloody good Dr. Octopus Chapter 1. When we last saw Carnage, he was being ripped to bits by the Sentry in the first story arc of New Avengers. So you're talking 6 years ago? 6 years ago? Yeah, something like that. And he's been off the grid ever since because, hey, you know, it's Carnage. Are you really that bothered? This is a bi-monthly miniseries, and it's, I think, rather wisely, he's taken the approach of making it something of a Spider-Man team-up book, as Spidey and Iron Man team up to stop an armored car which is running wild throughout town and being chased by, if you can believe it, the Spider-Man doppelganger from Infinity Crusade.
That is so awesome.
Yes.
He's still kicking?
Well, as I recall, the last time I saw him, he was impaled on a metal fence by the Demo Goblin in 1990.
Oh, he came back from that. That didn't kill him, I don't think.
I can't remember the last time I would have seen him after that, but it's like, hey, there he is. He's still alive. They're not really fussed by it. He's chasing this truck as well, and slowly but surely, everybody around the truck, after the truck crashes, and everybody starts to sort of go crazy and focusing all their rage upon the truck. It's a very straightforward Spider-Man team-up issue in which he and Iron Man try to fight off the crowd without hurting themselves. And two new characters, whose names are Royal Blue and Firebrick, appear to be military men or secret government operatives who are fighting this off to reclaim what is inside the truck. And spoiled. Yeah, there's not much. Yeah, there's not much. But the truck contains. You'll have figured out by the appearance of this. After all I've said, I'll just go ahead and spoil it. As you'll probably have figured out by the appearance of the doppelganger, the truck contains Shriek, Carnage's lady love from Maximum Carnage. Because of course,
he was like her pet or something, wasn't he?
Yeah. Well, he's been growling throughout the entirety of the issue, which consolidates itself into Mother just as he falls down dead at the end. Oh. And it's because they have been transporting Shriek to a secure installation where they're keeping what's left of Carnage. Carnage isn't even in the first issue, is the thing. And it's pretty solid. It's not outstanding. It's art by Clayton Crane, who people would know from X-Force or Ghost Rider: Trail of Tears. And I'm not a big fan of Clayton Crane, if I'm honest. I think his work is overly murky, and his ordinary people tend to look a little bizarre, a bit warped. But this is a little less murky than usual because it's set in broad daylight. You kind of a thing that manages to avoid murkiness. And it's probably some of the work I've enjoyed a little more from him. But overall, it didn't blow my mind or anything. But I find it pretty interesting, and I imagine that this will really speak to children of the 90s, for whom Maximum Carnage was the pinnacle of Spider-Man storytelling. I don't know if anybody like that exists. But it's very definitely speaking to that particular crowd. Yeah, I'm going to hang on for the next issue. Certainly, I have as I say, it didn't knock my socks off, but I have faith in Zeb Wells that some interesting stuff will come of this, and it seems to know well enough with Carnage that Carnage represents a certain era or attitude that is not en vogue right now. By sidelining him, even if the series is named after him. And I think that's probably the right right approach to be taking with this. So yeah, it's got the most bizarre next issue solicitation page though. I'll just read it to you. It's bizarre. You have just read Carnage #1. It is a book about Carnage, a murderous parasitic symbiote from another planet. It also stars Spider-Man and Iron Man, who you will recognize from the movies, and a lot of violence, which you will also know from movies. The writing is by Zeb Wells, and the art is by Clayton Crane, neither of whom is terribly violent, and neither of whom have been in a movie. Carnage will come out every 2 months, but you will wish it came out more often. The fact that it cannot may lead you to violence. Please restrain yourselves. This is the cover to the next issue. Commence yearning. Signed, The Management. I don't know
cute.
what that was.
What the hell?
That's cute.
Yeah.
That's most definitely for the kids. It really is.
But this isn't really a comic. Well, no, to be fair, no, I wouldn't say this isn't a comic for kids either, because as much as it says that there's lots of violence, there's nothing particularly graphic in here. Well, somebody does die, but it's not...
If there's any fighting, it's violent.
Give it a child in their crib or anything, but it's not. I mean, I think, frankly, and I don't mean this as to be demeaning towards anybody who does like Carnage, but I think that it is the younger readers, despite not being born of the era where he was at his coolest, who find characters like Carnage. I mean, I can't describe how badly I want to punch people in the teeth who come up to me in the shop and say, "Oh man, they should totally do Carnage in Spider-Man 4." And I'm like, no, what is wrong with you? No.
They should do the spot in Spider-Man 4. That's what they should be doing.
Awesome. But yeah. I mean, Carnage isn't even on the cover of this issue. It's Spider-Man and Iron Man. So perhaps a slight mistitling of it notwithstanding, still worth a read. Not going to blow your socks off, but interested me enough that I'll be back for the next issue. One that definitely caught my eye a little more, and JD, I think this one will interest you, is the first issue of the new Loki miniseries. One of, I counted, I believe there's 7,000 Thor miniseries is coming out.
Oh, yeah. I think that's about right. 7,001, actually.
Oh, okay, right. I must have forgotten that one about the wolf. Well, this is a Loki-centric miniseries. And it's written by Roberto Aguirre-Sacasa, who I basically bought it because I like Loki, and Aguirre-Sacasa usually delivers good work. He did Sensational Spider-Man and Marvel Knights 4. He hasn't really, hit the big time hard yet. I did that Nightcrawler series that didn't last very long from a couple of years ago. But this issue is, in fact, almost entirely a retelling of a myth. And it's the story of the myth of how Loki cut Sif's hair, and then in an attempt to make ends, had the dwarves forge various gifts to the gods and pit two pairs of dwarves against each other to make more treasures for him. One of which was Mjolnir. So it's simply a pretty straight up retelling of that myth, and I like a bit of myth, and JD, you'd like that as well. So there's nothing too inventive in the retelling, but it's always nice to see it told with pictures. But it's framed by a rather interesting sequence in where Loki is in hiding in the one desolate corner of Earth where Odin cannot see for some reason, living off the raw fish that he gets with a net woven from his own clothes, afraid to even light a fire in case the smoke would catch the eye of the gods. And still Thor finds him, and they sit down around a fire together and talk, and they retell that particular story. And then the intriguing bit that kicks in at the very end is Thor doesn't remember any of that happening. And it seems like it's turning into a rather curious... I'm not sure if it's supposed to be tied in with the idea of the cyclical Ragnarok that has been established as working in Marvel's Thor, but they talk about how these things are already stories of old, and how nobody seems to quite remember them. And whenever Thor questions whether or not it happened, Loki starts to wonder if it did too. And it seems to be an interesting question of whether Ragnarok factors into it as well, because this thing is all supposed to be foretold. But Loki tries to hide behind that as an excuse because it's all foretold. And yet the question is whether or not these things happened. Thor seems to be in defiance of this idea, and in defiance even of the past. And I just found it was a pretty intriguing issue. And I will definitely be back for the second issue of that one. I got a bit of a Thor Jones on him. After Kieran Gillen's rather mythologically heavy story, I'm in a good place for a story like that right now. And frankly, it's about the only of the multitudinous Thor miniseries that really caught my eye. And I'm very pleased with it. So, yeah. 2 new miniseries, one pretty good, one rather good. And that's me for this week.
Very nice.
Cool.
Brian, did you read stuff?
I read Bruce Wayne, The Road Home, Catwoman, Commissioner Gordon, and I read what else did I read? I should write this stuff down. Brightest Day. So and Batman and Robin. So I think we're gonna stick around for Batman and Robin, and I'll let someone else talk about Brightest Day because it wasn't my favorite thing. But I don't think anyone else read the Road Home stuff. Did any? I wasn't on last week, and I haven't made it. The show is 7 hours long. I haven't made it to that point.
Yeah.
Did anyone else?
It's gonna be longer this week.
Did anyone else read that last week besides me?
I didn't.
I read Batman and Robin #1, but I didn't get to the others. I've got them. I just haven't had time to read them yet.
I can tell you that they are superfluous for the most part. They're one gigantic cock tease. So if you want to see Bruce Wayne run around in a costume doing things that are very un-Batman-like, so that when he actually dons the Batman costume, it actually means something, read those books.
Yeah, he looks like a robot ninja or something.
Yes, he's Drift.
When he runs around, yeah, he's Drift. It's awesome. He's Batman.
Oh,
It's
wow.
Drift.
Yeah, so you get to see Batman interact with all these characters that he knows very well, and they don't know who he is unless he decides to hint, hey, I'm Batman. But I'm not
one
Batman.
thing, does the Vicky Vale thing, does it carry over into the other issues, or is it just Batman and Robin?
It's a narrative that ties these books together, because at an editorial level, it's like, well, nobody wants to read these books if they're, disjointed and everything. Let's actually tie them together so that we might be able to sucker 3 people into buying them all.
Yeah, I'm one of the 3.
Yeah. I can say my favorite part of all of these books is that the Commissioner Gordon book, and I don't recall the artist. The art is gorgeous, and I'm not really one who goes into the whole painted style art, but I was really impressed with Commissioner Gordon. But as a whole, the books are just kind of meh. It's kind of interesting, and like the Batgirl book, it's just this hokey feel-good nonsense where Bruce is saying that I always want to call her spoiler, but
She is.
yeah, she was. I could just very easily call her Robin too, but Stephanie. That at the end is like, well, he accepts her, sorta. I guess she was Robin, for God's sake, so he had to accept her at some level. But he again accepts her, and it makes the reader feel all good and happy that Stephanie is worthy to be, a member of the Bat family. But the one big takeaway from that issue is that Cassandra dropping the mantle of Batgirl was all part of some plan that Bruce had put in place in the event that he disappears. So
She's gonna become Bat Lady.
oh God. See, I love Cassandra Cain. She's like the best Batgirl ever, and she is totally adrift. Going back to the conversation before, because she is like this ultimate badass who's unbeatable. And
Batman can't beat her. I mean,
she could even take Batman, but I'm cool with that because it was done slowly, and the character was built up well, and Kelly Puckett was just so fantastic writing the book that I was a huge fan of that book. But then changed creative hands and kind of started to suck. But so hopefully we'll see something with Cassandra Cain come up soon. But if you want to buy the books, go ahead. You're not going to learn a darn thing, and they're not really going anywhere. So it's just it's really the epitome of a one shot. It's just it's a story, you get what you pay for, but there's really nothing more to it. You're not going to learn any more about Batman or Bruce Wayne by reading these books. That's basically it for me.
Okay.
Cool.
I guess I'll go last. So we'll go to Triplet.
Oh, is it my turn?
Yes.
Awesome. I think I read the same thing that you guys read. I read Batman and Robin, Brightest Day, and I think somebody said they read Green Lantern Corps.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. I did read Walking Dead 78 and Batman Beyond #5, but I don't really want to get too much into them because, well, Walking Dead it's Walking Dead. Some, stuff is going.
Do those. Do those because I've got the other two. So.
Because Walking Dead it's still good. It's just it's like the only problem with Walking Dead is that if you read it by issue, not a lot happens. I mean, Walking Dead is like sort of like a building process. It feels like it's written specifically to be 6-issue little stories, and it makes sense because I guess that's how he makes his money. The graphic novel is selling it like 6 or 7 issues put together in a graphic novel. So like I said, not much happens in this issue. I mean, there's stuff happens like there's a group. I don't know if I've talked about it before, but Rick's group has moved into this new community. It's like a gated community where they're choosy on who can join the group because they're kind of trying to weed out the horrible people that's still left after the zombies and everything that started killing people. And so Rick's group was allowed into this area. And in the previous issue, what they do is they have to send groups of people out to get supplies. And one of their groups was followed by these people out in the world when they were going to get the supplies. And so the issue pretty much is these crazy people trying to get in there, wanting to kill them to get in. The community fighting them and winding up having to kill these people that are trying to get into the community. And basically just them dealing with the community was basically trying to live like the zombie apocalypse never happened. Like everything's still hunky-dory, and we got kids going to school and they're running around and they're happy, and we're not fighting for our lives and everything, but stuff's been going down, and their world's now pretty much there's death every day, there's people dying, just crazy stuff happening. By the end of the issue, the guy that's pretty much the leader of the mayor, he's fed up with it. He's done, and he's decided that he doesn't want to do this anymore. Almost kind of talking like he's going to leave the group. And pretty much at the end of the issue, he says that the group doesn't need me anymore. What they need is you, Rick. And he just kind of walks away. So it kind of leaves you thinking it looks like Rick's going to have to take over as a leader of the whole community. And they also, since we haven't seen zombies in a while, we actually get to see some zombies in this issue. When they're fighting the people that are trying to break into the community, the zombies hear the gunfire. So you see like massive drones of zombies, which we haven't seen in a long time because I guess they didn't know that these people were just kind of waiting in this community, which is kind of like hinting that like maybe like the next issue or something that you're going to have like this massive mile-long stretch of zombies coming into the community. And I just wanted to talk about Walking Dead specifically because it's Sunday when the TV series actually starts up. If you guys get to watch it, I would definitely
Triplet sounds like he's on auto.
Okay, yeah, we totally.
We auto-tune Triplet.
Yeah. Sounds like he's Kanye or something.
Sorry, what's that?
You've been
you went all Kanye West for a minute there.
You're on auto-tune, Triplet.
I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Walking Dead TV series.
Oh, Walking Dead TV series, yeah.
Yes.
It's starting next Sunday, so yeah, if you guys can like...
What time?
I don't know. I just know it's Halloween night, so I guess you just have to look it up. But
well, are we gonna be on next week, guys? Get this out of the way now. If it's Halloween, you guys.
I am.
Oh wow.
I am on the other side of the country next week.
Okay.
yeah, so you won't be here.
I'm planning on being here, but I guess if nobody else is,
I mean, yeah, I can try to be here, but if we want to do a skip week, we can, and then hopefully talk about it next week because I would very much like to get you guys' opinion.
Well,
on the TV show.
I am waiting for the British broadcast of it is only 5 days later, and I want to support the British broadcast of it, so I'm waiting for it to air on Friday.
Gotcha.
Okay. But yeah, I mean that's it pretty much for that.
Okay.
And but I'll talk a little bit about Batman Beyond. I'm still liking the book pretty good, especially since it's been announced that it's going to be an ongoing series now. Which I think that's cool because I really like the character of Batman Beyond. The only problem is that they started it. I mean, this series is all about Hush.
Nope, he's gone.
Batman Beyond is Hush.
half of the entertainment
Every time
is
we
just
actually has something worth talking about.
just wondering what Triplet's going to sound like.
We lost you again there.
Aww.
I think we really did lose him this time.
We
So
may have lost him.
I heard that. I'm still here.
Like,
Yeah, but I don't know if they got through or not. But yeah, it's Batman Beyond #5. I'll be quick. It's just continuing the story. It's more Batman Beyond stuff. In the previous issue, they had revealed who Hush was, the villain of this story. It's like his version of Hush.
And his total epic fail.
And yeah, it's pretty bad. It's Dick Grayson. Oh my God!
is it really still? I figured it was maybe a twist that they were going to undo this issue.
There is a
Time.
twist.
Oh.
There is a twist in this issue.
Clayface.
Oh, okay.
Which is good because if it was Dick Grayson, I was gonna be pissed off.
Okay, awesome.
But yeah. So and since we're spoiling, I'll definitely tell you guys what it is because it's not. I mean, it's not that big of a twist. You find out in 3 or 4 pages into this issue. And basically, what happened was, do you guys remember the sort of close to the end of Justice League episode that had Batman Beyond?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Hawk and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, about Amanda Waller basically wanting to continue Batman and knowing that he's getting older and eventually he's going to not be able to be Batman anymore. Well, apparently, in this story, he wasn't her first, decision to do a program to kind of make a new Batman. It seems like she tried again before she did Terry McGinnis, and apparently Batman wasn't around, nobody could find him, so she kind of figured out that hey, Nightwing was Dick Grayson, so she was able to clone Dick Grayson, and this dude is basically Dick Grayson's clone, is who he is. Going totally crazy.
Terry's Bruce.
Huh?
I don't object to that.
Yeah. So he's basically a clone that's really messed up. He escaped Cadmus Labs, and he thinks that the only way he can actually become important in Batman's eyes is if he goes and he kills all of Batman's villains. So he's basically killing all of Batman's old villains, and he's also getting involved in hunting down and killing Terry McGinnis's villains. So
all those wonderful characters of note, like
both of them.
Yeah, I think they killed.
I
think they killed Mad.
I'm sorry, help me out a little bit here.
You remember Mad Stan? There's this crazy guy with a bomb.
Yes.
Yeah, I think he's dead.
Oh yeah, because he was the one that appeared more than twice.
Yeah. But I mean, that's basically what's going on. You figure out that that's what it is, and you get like a little moment where Terry's hurt and he's looks like he might be dying, and Bruce is like, it's like oh God, Terry, he could be dying, and I never told you how important he was and how he's like the best Batman he's Drift is basically what Bruce is saying in this.
It's going to be an ongoing joke now.
And then of course Terry wakes up and he says that's sweet, Bruce. Next time, just give me a card. And Bruce is like, Guinness, how much
It's so auto-tuned, it's awesome. I just want to say the best Batman Beyond villain was the animated series version of Mr. Freeze.
Yeah, it was.
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe some momentary discomfort.
Yes.
Yeah. Eventually, there's one left, and the crazy clone guy looks like he's decided just killing the villains isn't enough. He's going to destroy Gotham with a bunch of bombs underground. He actually references, what was the story where Gotham had the earthquake? Was it Batquake?
Yeah, it was Batquake.
Something like that.
Yeah, he references that in it. He says that Gotham survived an earthquake before, but he says after this quake, there's nothing going to be left of Gotham.
It was the precursor to No Man's Land.
Yeah, so he basically references No Man's Land is what he does in it, and it ends with he's going to blow up Gotham. Oh my god.
Oh
yeah.
my god.
Or was it Batquake? I'm trying to remember actually.
I thought it was Cataclysm.
Was it Batquake?
Yes.
Batquake would have been a better name for it.
If it was the Adam West TV series and it took place,
yes,
it would be Batquake.
Yeah, but
a seismic shock for the dynamic duo, Gotham City in peril.
Perfect.
Yeah, but that's it for me because that's the only thing I read that you guys haven't read, and I'll let you guys. When do you guys do Green Lantern for?
Yeah, we'll talk. Okay, so that leaves me then. Awesome. Okay, Green Lantern Corps. Of course, this is the start of a new storyline, which starts with a flashback to the Weaponer constructing Sinestro's yellow ring on Quard.
Now, this Weaponer, he is a neat character, right?
He's been seen before. I mean,
I know the Weaponers, plural of Quard. I know them. But was there ever a Weaponer singular who was like the big daddy of Quard?
I want to say that we did see him in some of the Blackest Night stuff. It seems like I feel like I have seen this character, at least, if not, it was in a previous issue of Green Lantern Corps.
It seems like I've seen him before, maybe in Justice League.
Yeah.
Like back when Kurt Busiek picked it up and was doing it. Maybe he was in that. I can't remember.
I wouldn't know. That's a genuine question because I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think so, but not much. I don't think he's gotten much airtime. So then we jump back to present day, and Kyle's on Kurigar, and he's, I don't know, saving people while his girlfriend...
And Sora's in a syringe. We got to mention that.
Yes, Sora tears through a ship with a big syringe because we get it, she's a doctor.
She's a doctor!
Constructs scissors and syringes and bandages and lame things like that. So, anyway, so Kyle saves part of the people. I don't know. It was a falling train or something, and ends up getting into an altercation with some yellow lanterns. Looks like it's gonna escalate into something pretty bad, and then the Weaponer shows up and kills the random red shirt Green Lantern Corps guy or Yellow Lantern
shirt
guy. Yeah, random yellow shirt guy who was kind of weird. He had like no brain. He had like a big hole in the back of his head.
Yeah.
And that would have been interesting until that was like squished by the Weaponer with his big hammer.
Yeah, dope pages too. My God, look at that! Out of my way, scum.
Yeah, that was a big double page introduction for our Weaponer here. What I love is that when the Weaponer comes in, he's asking for where's the real Green Lantern, and Kyle kind of gets he makes the point to say that used to piss him off, but like he had to prove himself. So that's why I'm saying, like, Brian, you would like this, because
I probably should.
Kyle.
Because it's Kyle.
Yeah, I love Kyle.
That's enough of a reason for you to buy it, bro.
Yeah. But he gets into it with the Weaponer, and the Weaponer, you realize that the Weaponer is able to, like, actually upgrade his weapons. So he has what looks like a stone hammer, and he, like, upgrades it into this, I don't know, cybernetic gun thing, and totally tears through Kyle's armor. Now, here's the part that pisses me off, is when Sora finally shows back up at the end of this issue, and Kyle's like, don't, he's strong. What, because she's not? Because she doesn't have the same freaking ring that he does? Because she's not a freaking Green Lantern?
They're together. That's why he says that.
Yeah, right.
Get hurt.
That, or is it because she has a vagina and therefore she can't?
Vagina.
Yay!
Yeah, it pisses me off that they do have female Green Lanterns, but they just write them like they're freaking wusses. So
Yeah.
anyway, but the Weaponer shows up and he's looking for the daughter of Sinestro, which hey, she shows up, and of course kidnaps her by stinging her with a wasp. I wish I was lying. And
he's forged a fridge specially for her that he's gonna get her stuck inside.
Get that girl in the refrigerator ready, because there we go. So Kyle shows up to tell Sinestro, hey, this guy has stole your daughter and you got to come help me get her back. And Sinestro's like, go fly a kite. Which Kyle doesn't respond very well. And tells him no, he's coming. And Sinestro's like, dude, back the hell off. I'm Sinestro. To which Kyle punches him in the face.
Yeah.
That's pretty damn awesome.
So, pretty damn awesome. So that could be really interesting because, of course, Sinestro has been hanging out on Earth dealing with the whole White Lantern issue. And I don't know if this is going to actually pull him away or not. Kyle says it is. We'll see if Kyle gets his way.
I mean, you think it would.
It is time.
I mean, just because it's his daughter, you would think it would. I mean,
I know, up to this
point,
he's done so much to, like, protect her and,
yeah.
like, care for her and stuff, and then Kyle shows up and is like, dude, the Weaponer and Cord stole your daughter, and he's like, really?
What is?
Yeah, he even says, when you fail, she will see that an alley rat is unworthy of her affections.
Well, and maybe that's a point to Sinestro, because maybe Sinestro is saying, she's strong enough, she'll get out of it on her own.
Yeah, so maybe he's like telling the reader what we need to know is that, hey, she's a Green Lantern, she'll figure it out.
Right. Which, I would like that. I don't think that's the point he's making, but, I can hope.
This is the first issue by a new creative team as well, isn't it?
I think so. No.
Yeah.
I believe it's the first issue by Tony Bedard, writer.
It is Tony Bedard, yeah, he's running it.
Yeah. And the art's really nice. I love the art in this, so.
I don't know, the art kind of reminded me of an Image comic when we got the double page spread of him knocking that dude's head off. I was like, wow, this is like Image comics.
I've just remembered who's doing the art. I don't even know. It's Tyler Kirkham's doing the art, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that is so Topka. Because he's fresh from Topka.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah. I mean, some of it looks pretty good. Like that last page where he punches Sinestro, I think that's a really cool image, that looks really good.
Yeah, it's different. It's a different style like we're not seeing in a lot of the primary DC.
It's a little too Image, but I think with a little time he'll shed off the last vestiges of it and turn into something pretty nice.
Yeah.
Well, nicer.
Yeah. So, I like it.
We'll
see where that goes. So, Brian, there you go. Green Lantern Corps, Sir Kyle comic.
Yes, I should start reading that.
Yep.
First issue of a new story arc, new creative team. Go buy it.
So is Daryl Banks doing the art?
I don't know who that is.
He was the guy who designed Kyle Rayner's costume and did basically the art for 70 issues of.
No.
Okay.
No.
Sorry.
So, Brightest Day.
No, don't we have to do Batman?
Brightest Day is Batman. Batman we're doing at the end.
We can get Brightest Day done pretty quick, can't we?
Yeah, there wasn't much to say about this one.
Not a lot happened. I mean, we have, Martian fighting the other Martian and melting together and fighting in each other's heads, I guess.
It was a lot of talk fighting.
Yeah.
It's a good issue.
It didn't go where I thought it was going to go.
No, it did not. Where'd
you think it was going to go?
I thought we were going to return back to all the crap that we had.
No, that's next issue.
Gotcha.
Yes, next issue.
Well, first of all, the first damned confusing thing is that it's Deathstorm returns, and he was introduced 2 issues ago and was all about the last issue. So he's
if this was a regular comic, that was last issue, last month.
Yeah.
If it was a regular comic.
Yeah.
Well, he's in the comic for 2 pages.
Yes, which also doesn't make any sense. So really, we're back to not a lot happened in this particular issue, other than
having a big telepathic duel with the female Martian, who has a name now. Her name is Decay Deraz.
Decay.
Okay.
I love the name.
Yeah.
Still don't know why she has a talking vagina.
It's a little higher than that.
Well, it is, but it can move around.
Oh.
Yeah. It doesn't really have a set location. Now, I was kind of thrown off by the statement by Deadman when he makes it almost seems like he is somehow linked to this seeming to be construct Deadman.
Yeah, I like that. I'm interested.
Do you think that's maybe because of the whole White Lantern thing? Maybe he senses when something evil happens?
Probably.
But I don't know. But there's a Thawne version. I mean, it can't be his body, I would assume. It can't be their body.
It would be awesome if it was his body.
Because
there is an evil Martian Manhunter, and we didn't get a comment. It's like, oh, I noticed there's something going on with that. You know,
well, he's kind of busy fighting the other thing. But the Deadman also has shown to be much more.
He's the one who should be dead out of all of these guys.
Yeah.
So there's something. I mean, I don't think we're in any doubt that Deadman will be dead again by the end of this series.
Yeah, I don't think that's a shocking concept. No. But hey, Martian Manhunter does this really wacky White Lantern willing Mars to be alive again thing.
No, he doesn't.
Shut up, Rick. Seriously.
Yeah, I did too.
It was really wacky, and Martians everywhere, and then it turns out that it's probably just our villain.
No, probably about it. That's.
Yeah.
Did anybody see? I mean, did anybody honestly think that he had brought all of Mars back?
Yes, I did.
I thought that for a minute. Yeah, when he did it,
we had a freaking planet of Kryptonians running around. No telling what they're going to do in DC now.
It suddenly came to life. All the planet life came to life between issues.
The whole issue was her showing him things that aren't really there. So I pretty much thought that when that happened, that she's got him.
You are smarter than we are, Triplet.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Because I have to say, when I turned the final page,
because the one thing that's never going to happen in comics, and when it does, I won't probably read comics anymore. His wife and kid comes back. That's probably never going to happen.
He wouldn't have any reason to be. You know what I mean? Like he would just retire.
Yeah, just retire.
So, you know.
Really nice art on this as well.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Especially the Martian stuff. I mean, it's just some nice moments in there. Good,
really warped imagery contrasted with some really nice warm moments.
Yep. But ultimately, probably not. I mean, it's hard. It's hard to pace it out when you're doing an issue every 2 weeks and you've got all the story to tell. So I figured we were at a lull. But supposedly next issue...
It's certainly not a bad issue.
No. It's just not as deep.
It's a psychic issue. It's a talking heads issue.
Yes.
Yeah.
But hey, we get to go back to Hawk World next issue.
Yes.
So we're skipping next issue, right?
Yeah. That'll be really exciting. I don't know. Maybe that'll pick up, and that'll be something we actually want to read.
I hope so.
Okay. So, as we draw to the end of reviewing comics, we are now going to talk about Batman and...
Thank God.
So, who wants to take
this was quite an issue, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You want to take it, McFeely? I'll let you.
Oh, no, I don't have it in front of me, so...
No? Okay, who wants to run with this?
Triplet seemed to really care about this.
Triplet?
Oh, I did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, if you want to, go ahead.
So, Joker's dancing with a skeleton woman.
Woo!
First stage.
That's an opener right there.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe this issue made a little bit more sense, and then, shoot, maybe it didn't. I don't know.
Sense? What comic were you reading?
I mean, every time I read a new issue of Batman Robin, it always seems like it's so out of order, and I'm missing something, and I don't know if it's planned. I was kind of hoping that the road home might make some sense of this, but apparently it doesn't, according to Brian.
It almost we were saying last week that we didn't really see how the Return of Bruce Wayne could successfully wrap everything up in its next issue.
Mm-hmm.
But then this issue comes along, and it's like, holy, this really does actually feel like it's all coming to an end point now. I mean, this issue has Dr. Hurt and Thomas Wayne and more of the defamation of the family and the box of secrets and the language of the Bat People and the Bat God Barbatos and all of this stuff that has been recurring, and it really feels like it's about to kick off. Kick off is the wrong phrase, because kick on, or stop, end, come to a conclusion in a big way. Which is logical, one supposes, but it just didn't really feel like it was going to go there. I just thought it's just a funny coincidence off the back of last week's Return of Bruce Wayne, where it seemed like things were only getting more complicated, for this to come along.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that happens previous.
Well, we get the answer of what Thomas, if he is Thomas Wayne or not. We get that answer.
Yeah, he's not.
Yeah,
he's not. But he was taken in. He was taken in by Thomas and Martha.
Yeah.
So that's kind of weird.
The answer as to whether or not all of those tales of their debauchery are true or not as well. Yeah. And he says they're not. They'll just be remembered that way because of his machinations. I mean, it's been a
Dick Grayson wasn't shot too. I mean, he's not shot like he's gonna die, like he's dead. You know, he's shot like he's gonna die.
Yeah.
You know what my favorite part of this issue is? The ad for the Tony Daniel Batman comic. where you get the Batman Incorporated ad where it's like, oh, it's the new Batman suit.
Oh, Bruce Wayne may be back, but Dick Grayson is.
Yeah, but you get this picture of Dick Grayson with arrows in him, and he looks like insanely badass. And I'm like, this is the Bat book I want to read.
Yeah.
So
which one is that?
The Bruce Wayne is maybe back, but Dick Grayson is Gotham City's Dark Knight.
Oh, yeah. Dark Knight. See, it looks cool, but it's being written by David Finch, and I don't know.
No, it's being written by Tony Daniel.
Yeah, Tony Daniel.
Yeah, it's Tony Daniel.
Sorry, they were hyping that as being written and
drawn. No, David Finch is the Dark Knight, Batman.
Yeah, he's doing the Bruce Wayne.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said it was the Dark Knight.
No. But it just looks awesome. I'm like, wow.
Okay, that's the Batman. Okay,
yeah,
sorry.
So it looks great. So that was my favorite part of the whole issue, was that ad. I'm like, sweet.
So you're saying you didn't like the issue?
It was okay. At the end, I'm like, I don't know where this is going, but I expect it to be a cock tease like everything else involving Batman right now. So.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, there's only one issue left of the story.
So what is that at the end? Is that supposed to be
Bruce? Yeah.
It's Bruce. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It's Bruce. So it's like all of it.
So it's another clone of Bruce, or it's a Bruce robot or something.
I'm thinking it's actually. I mean, based on how out of timeline all this stuff is, I'm assuming that's Bruce.
Well, they keep saying Barbatos or something, and he's got a funny bubble too when he talks. It looks like it's dripping with icicles. You know.
Well, I think the implication is that having existed throughout time, Bruce essentially is Barbatos.
Yeah.
Yes.
Having borne the legend in his Neanderthal days. And he knew the secret whistling language of the Bat People of wherever.
That's insane.
Which opened the box, which turns out to have just been a little note that says, gotcha.
Yeah.
It was just a
very
box.
Yeah.
I'm still wondering if they're going to go the whole hog and tell us who Dr. Hurt is or not. I mean, the implication has been that he is the devil, and Grant Morrison has said that this whole arc, everything that he's done, is supposed to be the ultimate story of good over evil and the story of how Batman cheats the devil. But with characters in this issue actually verbally saying in dialogue, "You're not the devil," the fact that they're actually addressing it and having the characters speculate as to his identity that way makes me think that maybe they're not going to go that way with it. But I don't know. Hey, if you didn't know that's what they've been doing with it, there you go. He's supposed to be the devil.
Yeah.
And one thing, just don't overlook, like, there's like some good scenes with the Joker and Damian. You know, some good stuff at the beginning too. To talk about, like the part where like he kicks him and he says, "I can crush your windpipe before you get a chance to speak another word." And the Joker basically explaining why you're not going to be able to do it. Because what if you screw up? Do you want this to be what you're defined for? And all this stuff. Basically talking him out of it.
I do like the Joker here.
Yeah.
He reminds me of something, but I can't put my finger on what this look for the Joker.
Yeah.
It's a little Clockwork Orangey, but that's not what it is.
No.
I can't put
So do we like the suit that he wears now? Do we want him to keep that?
No.
I like it.
I like it, but I don't want him to keep
Yeah,
it.
I like it.
We want him to keep it.
I mean, yeah, I don't know about but I like it. It works.
No, I don't think
for
any of
this.
Morrison's visual redesigns for the Joker have really worked as an iconic version of the character, but I like what he's doing with him as far as the character himself actually goes.
So anyway, it's Grant Morrison, basically. But hey, we know that I assume that Dick's not going to die now
Yeah.
because he didn't actually get shot in the head. So
Well, the shit is thoroughly poised to hit the fan with the next issue of this.
yeah. So okay, cool. There you go.
Thumbs up.
Anybody? Anything else? Yes, good stuff. So check that out. Hi,
I seem to
XV.
be a lot more gentle towards Morrison's Batman run than a lot of people are. So
I enjoy it. I enjoy every single issue. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I read it first. Of all the books I get, it's the book I read first.
I am
now.
always excited when it comes out because it is the book again. Like Triplet says, I read it first. But oh my god,
because I want to know what crazy stuff's going to happen next.
it's like learning a new language or a programming language. Each issue, your head and your mind is just sort of bent and twisted in new ways, and you have a headache once it's over.
Yeah.
It really is.
that's what she said.
Yes.
Right.
So, hi, XP.
Huh?
How you doing? Still
up?
with us? So,
Are we
Earth's
still doing
Mightiest-
a show?
Yes, we are still here.
We're still doing the show.
So, Earth's Mightiest Heroes,
La
the
la la
Avengers.
la. I'm not listening. La 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 la. No, go ahead. Spoil it away.
There's nothing to spoil. I mean, basically, everything that happens is, if you've read Marvel Comics, you know it.
Or Wikipedia.
Or Wikipedia.
I mean, they're pretty much just borrowing stories from all over the place and making the show. I mean, it's not like they're doing something totally original, which isn't a bad thing. That's worked for animated shows before.
No. I was kind of interested. Like I said, I'm not sure how the first few episodes are working out because what I saw the other night was what was supposed to be, I thought, the first two episodes was Breakout 1 and 2. But is that supposed to be later?
They're the first two chronological broadcast episodes of the show, preceded by 20. This is Avengers: Earth's Mightiest Heroes. We're talking about, listeners.
Right.
We kind of sort of blarged right into talking about it without prefacing the discussion. The opening two-parter is prefaced with 25-minute micro episodes, which have been released online and shown in a sort of movie-like format, I believe, on XD in the last week or two.
Yeah, they played it a couple of times.
But they're also being reformatted into 5 episodes with four shorts per episode, which I believe were shown this weekend as well.
Yeah, because I saw one with Thor, one with
one Thor, one Cap, one Iron Man, one Hulk, and one
Ant-Man.
Wasp.
Yeah.
And you can just watch Breakout 1 and 2, but you will be asking questions.
Yeah. Like, why is Hawkeye in a prison?
Literally,
Yes.
that is the big question.
That was the big question I had, which like, what?
Which was really awesome in the mini episodes, which if you missed them, I hate it. And I mean, they really should have been like the first episode, which they kind of were when they played them all together in the mini movie.
That whenever they put them on DVD, they'll get it all properly ordered.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, as far as like what the content of it, I mean, the Captain America story, it was literally like him fighting Red Skull, and then they're on the rocket, and Bucky.
It's the very
Well, I mean,
traditional
it's-
Captain America story
Now-
with Baron Zemo substituted for the Red Skull.
Now,
they
am I
did-
crazy, or did Bucky have the voice of Robin from Teen Titans?
You are
he
not
did.
crazy.
That's awesome!
a lot
although
of
that
recognizable.
That was
Lot of-
tied together with a Kang story, though.
Yes, it was.
Oh, that is the bit I am so looking forward to seeing again.
That was probably my favorite part, where we get to kind of see Kane looking through history and centering in on Captain America. That was really cool.
Something about something that Captain America does affects his timeline. So I don't know that. Yeah, I mean that has potential to be
Something that Captain America does. Oh, but didn't he die in the 40s?
Yeah, and apparently Kang's data on the 21st century is a little flaky. So
Yeah.
Kang is wicked awesome, so I'm really looking forward to seeing that come back.
Kang doesn't know a lot about history, obviously.
Yes.
Yeah, he is from the future.
The Hulk story was meh.
Yeah, but it's the Hulk. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, it's a Hulk story. It's not going to be. I mean, unless it's
He
Planet
hits
Hulk,
things.
that was okay.
The Thor story I thought was interesting though.
I love the Thor story. Frost giants and Loki attacking Asgard.
I'm
What's
not
not
listening. I'm not listening.
Well,
And
Shelby, I don't think it's
Odin voiced by Clancy Brown.
Clancy Brown.
Are you serious?
Yes, it was awesome. The voice cast for the show is actually pretty good.
Fantastic.
Very good.
It's funny that the main Avengers themselves aren't really voiced by anybody that you would know very well.
Yeah.
Probably can't afford it.
Well, I mean, I think as far as the Transformers listeners should go, everybody would know Wally Winger because he's playing Ant-Man. Hank Pym. He was Sideburn in Robots in Disguise, and most people probably know him. But the other ones are not really household names. Who you got? You get I don't even know the guy who does Thor. He didn't have a Wikipedia page until this series started. Brian Bloom is playing Captain America. I don't know who he is. This is all off the top of my head. Fred Tatasciore is playing the Hulk, but he has been playing the Hulk for a couple of years now in all of the things the Hulk appears in. And
I believe Jeffrey Combs is the leader, right?
Yeah, he is. It's
Yeah.
the supporting cast that really jumps out at you. Although with one exception for me, which is when I was watching the minis, I didn't actually know anything about the voice cast, and that's weird for me because I normally pay attention to that sort of thing. But I didn't until I was watching the minisodes. I didn't know that Colleen O'Shaughnessy was playing the Wasp. Colleen O'Shaughnessy is my celebrity crush.
And,
So,
and she does very good. I really like
Yeah.
the Wasp in this. I mean, I really like the Wasp.
Yeah.
And if the rumors are true that she's not going to be in the live action movie, it really ticks me off because she needs to be in the live action.
There's no way, dude. It's Joss Whedon. How
Well, they
could
keep
he?
saying what Black Widow's going to take her spot in the movie or something. No, she needs to be in it. Ditch Black Widow. We need the Wasp in this.
Well, all I know is I squeed pretty hard when I figured it out.
But
So the two parts then, the two-parter.
so Breakout.
Yes,
That's some kind of theme
Breakout.
song, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Well, let's go ahead and get that out of the way. How abso-freaking-lutely terrible is the theme song?
Hey,
Music-
there's a lot of shows with bad theme songs that are awesome. Don't judge the show.
That's true.
No, and that's what I'm saying. Like the show is great, but the pseudo Linkin Park song.
Music
is-
to cut yourself by.
Oh my god! Even my wife, even Amanda, is sitting there like making up lyrics, something along the lines of "We wish we were Linkin Park, but we're not because we suck."
Shocking, really.
You know,
The Marvel haven't had a great track record with theme series, with theme tunes lately.
Not since like X-Men, the old Fox Kids X-Men. Now that was a theme song. What
Yeah,
happened to that. Yeah.
I mean, what have we had? We've had Spectacular
Super
Spider-Man, which just about managed to grow on you.
Yeah, I did. It took me a while, but I didn't.
Superhero Squad's theme song was okay.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask how this compares to Superhero Squad.
yeah.
Well, it's no
The
big
theme
splash-
song or the whole
The
show?
whole show.
You know, I did have a few moments there where I was like, had to pull myself back. I'm like, no. This is the actual Avengers. Yeah, but it's good. Well, like I said, we'll get into the 1 and 2. Go, McFeel. You're running with this. I like it.
Okay, well, Breakout is the it follows on from all the various little plot threads set up here and there in the micro episodes, in which a massive breakout occurs at not 1 but 4 of the supervillain prisons, the superhuman prisons that are set up to hold every supervillain going, many of whom you're not likely to even recognize.
I really like
left
that.
here.
We don't. We've already got our villains set up for us. They've been there before, so we don't have to waste a lot of episodes. Oh well, this guy got pissed off at the Incredible Hulk because he gave him a D or something when he was like teaching at a university or something. No, because they're already set up. They already exist.
Yeah.
Man,
just
Incredible Hulk
dramatic.
substitute teacher. I would totally watch and or read that.
Yes. Do that, Marvel.
Teach.
Go
I mean, it's
ahead.
interesting. Actually, XV, you as a non-fan, actually, I wanna get your perspective on this. I was squealing like a madman every time somebody I recognized popped up. Oh, the living laser! Oh, it's the Griffin! Whoever thought you'd
Oh my
see the
God,
Griffin?
the Great Gargoyle.
The Great Gargoyle! Look at that!
My God.
What kind of reaction does somebody who doesn't give a fuck and doesn't know who these people are have?
I was kind of like, what the fuck? Who are these people? Oh, no, a lot of these I do know, but I don't necessarily recognize. The costume designs they're using. Obviously, Grey Gargoyle,
Yeah, there are some ones like.
and some who have very set in appearances are recognizable enough. But
The
yeah,
Mad Thinker, for God's sakes. The Mad Thinker.
The Mad Thinker. The Red Ghost and his Super Apes.
yes, the Red Ghost.
I was like, hey, it's the Red Ghost. And then one of the monkeys turned up. It's a monkey.
It was literally a grab bag of awesome Marvel crazy stuff.
It
But
was.
it's
It was incredibly
well,
crazy.
And I mean, there's a couple of subtle things within it that they did that I liked. Like, well, one, like when the big house returns to normal size inside the helicarrier.
And it takes it down, yeah.
Yeah, it was just
That's going to take a little bit to fix.
yeah.
The 4 prisons that are at the center of the plot, which we were introduced to 3 of them in the minisodes, are the Vault, the good old steadfast Marvel supervillain prison, the Big House, which was introduced in Dan Slott's She-Hulk, where they shrink down supervillains to keep
I
them
love
safe.
that.
Yeah, that's
I'm
awesome.
so glad that was in there.
And a new one called the Cube, where they store Gamma-based villains. And the 4th one introduced in this issue is the Raft, which was introduced in New Avengers. Except it's a much more whereas it's just a big wing of a prison on an island. This was like a secret underwater prison that they hide under a boat.
Under
Yes.
a garbage scow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the whole concept draws on different Avengers Foundation stories. We've got the breakout at the supervillain prisons, which is how the New Avengers were formed. We've got the fight. Graviton is the primary villain of this, or at least the second part. Graviton, I know who the hell, and which was how the West Coast, Avengers formed, and the implication. As these conclude, we don't know who orchestrated this mass breakout, but let's be honest. I think all the smart money points to Loki.
You think
Which
Loki?
is how the
Well,
he was
Black Widow, she kind of disappeared there. You think maybe he was involved with something?
I didn't understand that. You went all.
Something about Black Widow.
I heard the
yeah.
Black Widow part, but then he went all auto-tune the news.
There was-
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Is it better now?
Yeah.
there's like-
I said
Go
Black
Rocket.
Widow.
It was Bad
Black
Intruder
Widow.
song for a second.
Yeah, it was. I was thinking Black Widow disappeared. You know?
She did.
So I was
I
thinking maybe-
couldn't believe that when we found out she was a dirty double Hydra double agent in the mini episodes.
that was
crazy.
cool.
You know, and I have to say some of the references got good enough that I really would have been excited if one of the Hydra agents had identified himself as Bob.
Oh yeah. When you've got Jimmy Woo and Clay Quartermain and Maria Hill running around in the Shield scenes, like you're entitled to expect Bob.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we even had a Hydra agent that was really the Grim Reaper.
Yeah, we did.
That was awesome.
Oh,
So,
that
I mean-
whole, Strucker breakout episode might have been the best of the minisodes.
Yeah, it was good.
That was awesome. And that bit where he grabbed Fury with the claw and it was like, oh, white streaks in the hair. That was awesome.
He's got gray hair.
Another thing that I like though was like with the Graviton thing, they were able to reverse engineer his prison into his costume.
Yeah.
Because they had him in like the restraints and he sort of molded those into like his gloves and boot. And otherwise he was in basically just a restraining straitjacket thing that he
was in a prison uniform.
Yeah, essentially.
Never
But
been a villain before. They just locked him up right away.
yeah, and he sort of manipulated that into a costume that I thought worked. And I was, That's creative.
But
like
I really love that slightly darker, deceptive edge that they had with S.H.I.E.L.D. in this. It's like, yep, they locked this guy right up, right away, before he even had the chance to do anything bad.
Yep.
They're
Yes,
not good people with S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, I like that Shield is questionable in terms of their motives.
And speaking of questionable motives, how about that scene with the LMD?
Yeah, that was cool.
That was friggin' awesome.
It looked like it was killing. I was like, oh my god, are they going to show this?
Oh no, it's a robot.
Yes.
It's always a robot.
That was, I mean, and that's just another point where it's like, wow, they, what it meant to me is that the producers and writers of this series actually read Marvel, and they, are pulling from the source material, and they get it.
There is much love at
Right,
work
and remember McFeely last week we were talking about how the anime Iron Man wasn't really getting Tony Stark dialogue at all. In this version, it's pretty much spot on perfect with how he was in the movie.
Yeah, almost exactly. Yeah,
they got the opportunity to write the dialogue the right way, and they're doing it right.
Yeah, the actor seems to even be shooting for a bit of a
Robert Downey. Oh yeah, definitely.
Who is voicing Tony?
It's somebody named Eric Loomis, who I am familiar with, but only from one thing, and who again doesn't have a Wikipedia page.
Well, what are you familiar with him from?
I'm familiar with him from the fuzz dub of the anime Shin-Chan that has never aired in the United States.
There
we go.
Oh, nice. But yeah, the only other question is, why does Odin have two eyes?
That is weird. I don't know what's going on.
Because one has not been torn out yet.
Okay, but that's not a good answer, because part of Odin's whole origin is that he tore his eye out.
He is all wise because he tore the eye out and threw it in that well.
Yeah, he had to tear the eye out to drink from the well of Mimir. So yeah, he can't be Odin without having lost his eye. It doesn't.
I don't know, Clancy Brown kind of offsets that for me.
That's true.
Yeah, but it's just a major story element.
Now,
that
Clancy
I'm
Brown
hoping
ripping his eye out would be.
I'm guessing, given that they've given him two eyes, I'm guessing he's probably going to lose one in the course of this series.
No, you know what it is? He really only does have one eye, but he's got this really nice eye patch with an eye painted onto it.
That's what it is. Yeah. I don't know. I'm such a Norse mythology snob that it just really... That was really like... As soon as I'm like, he has two eyes. That can't be.
Oh, I know. I was on it right away, yeah.
So we'll see. But it does look like a lot of the story is going to be revolving around Thor and Loki and some of that. It does...
Well, the implication, again, just from the mini episode, is that Loki has something big in the works. And to draw on the West Coast Avengers origin and the new Avengers origin, I really think Loki has masterminded this and is responsible, as he was in the very first issue of the Avengers as well.
So, yeah, exactly. And that's and I mean, and again, kudos for pulling together the original Avengers team.
Particularly the Hulk. I really like the Hulk in this.
Yeah.
Because this is an interpretation of the Hulk that, as comic readers, were familiar with, but it's not one that the mainstream viewing audience is familiar with. The cunning Hulk, the Hulk who has more brains, not the smart Hulk, but just the more cunning, brutish Hulk. The most questionable among the characters, who gets some of the biggest goddamn moments of the whole episode, like.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, the first episode is mostly set up, and it's kind of frenetic and a little disjointed, but certainly, I think the first episode in particular, XV, back me up on this or not if you agree with me, has a different impact for fans to non-fans. Because fans are like, oh, it's Whirlwind, or whatever. Actually, you might be going in
Hell
like,
yeah, it's Whirlwind.
And can you stop? Can you get on with what I'm looking at here? I mean, my brother and I were watching it, and we were like, it's the Griffin, it's the Red Ghost. But there's two nerds in the room whenever, Baron Zemo pops up, and we both, unbidden of each other, simultaneously go, Zemo!
Yeah.
Because we love Baron Zemo in this house.
I actually preferred the first part to the second part because more stuff seemed to be going on. I thought the second part was really too taken up with the fight with Graviton. I thought it dragged on
The second
too long.
part was entirely.
That second part was nothing but just a huge fight, which I thought it was a cool looking fight. I mean,
No, I mean, there's no questioning that they executed the mechanics of the fight really well. I just think it went on longer than it really needed to.
Yeah, I think even Amanda said that at one point.
I don't disagree, definitely, but they managed to pack in enough moments where the scale or the stakes or just like the power on display was up to the next level again, where you didn't think it could be up to keep you going, whoa!
Now,
it didn't get stale.
Was it just me, or at the end when Thor summoned down the mighty divine lightning upon Graviton, that the crater in the middle of Manhattan tripled or quadrupled in size?
It did look awfully large.
Yeah. I mean, is it just me, or in the process of downing Graviton, did Thor not level most of the city?
Probably, but it was really important that we take him out for the story to be
interesting.
awesome.
I mean, ultimately, defeating him really did just come down to it. Doesn't exactly speak to team mechanics or anything, or that that defeating the villain just amounted to hitting him hard enough until he doesn't get up again.
Yeah, that's a Hulk solution, you know.
Yeah, but oh my god, the Hulk's just the bit when he was fighting against the pressure of 1,000 suns or whatever, and the ground was giving.
And the ground was caving in.
That was so awesome.
I mean that's total Hulk. You know, he'll get as strong as he needs to. The problem might be the ground will not support him anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, there was real shades of Superman and Darkseid's fight from the final episode of Justice League, and it took Justice League to get to the final episode before it was delivering fights of that magnitude.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, we're getting it out of the gate with Avengers, which is like, god damn.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's no scale of the power and the fighting in here.
Yeah, this is who is on this team. You know, there are gods and monsters on this team, and also Ant-Man.
That we're going to be a little down in subsequent fights when it's not quite this, high scale.
No, one other thing. I don't know much about Hawkeye. Is he just a poor man's Green Arrow?
Basically, yeah.
He's way more awesome.
He's way more awesome, but he's basically just
Is he way more awesome like Drift's way more awesome, or is he way more awesome like he's actually way more awesome?
He cheats.
Like, Green Arrow is self-taught. Hawkeye had to have somebody teach him.
Ah.
So, make your decision there based on that.
I kind of like Green Arrow. But apparently I'm a DC snob now, so when did that happen?
And my favorite line from Avengers, which I'm paraphrasing, I don't think he actually said it this way, but he basically said, "Hey Pepper, guess who I pissed off? It rhymes with boom."
Yes.
I don't know exactly how.
Can they not do him? Can they not use Doom? Do they have to dance around it like that, or what?
I don't know. I figured that's what it was, but I thought it was really kind of sly how they did that.
Yeah, that's clever.
Yeah, I can't imagine it be anything else, because why would they avoid any direct reference multiple times like that if they could actually say his name? But yeah, that was pretty cool. Tony storming into Latveria.
Is there something I don't know? Like, why can't they say his name?
Fantastic Four.
Fantastic Four would just be tied up with the rights.
Yeah, because the
Spidey can't fight the Kingpin anymore.
We really don't want Spidey to fight the Kingpin.
No. Okay, so final vote. We like this show.
Oh god,
I like it a lot.
Yeah, I like the show.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I need to watch it.
You
Dude,
do.
I mean, Marvel has consistently been not to rag on Marvel, I love Marvel, but Miss Marvel has. I don't think even the most devout Marvel fan could argue Marvel's been consistently number 2 when it comes to animation.
Yeah.
I mean, like almost everything, even in DC's case, you'd sort of rather forget about everything that came before the 90s. And like the Marvel's most notable series out of that were Spider-Man and the X-Men, and they don't really hold up that well in retrospect. First couple of seasons of X-Men tend to, but then later, whenever they got hit with the same level of censoring that Spidey had out of the gate, they both kind of dwindled. And then there were other things.
4 episodes of Silver Surfer that came out.
Silver Surfer was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
All 6 episodes.
All 6 episodes.
13. It was one season of 13 that ended on a
Yes.
cliffhanger that was never resolved.
Wow.
Yeah, but I mean, DC has I mean, DC having come off the back of like their greatest series in Justice League Unlimited is very quietly slipped into just the Brave and the Bold, whereas Marvel has since the Brave and the Bold kicked off made a really big push with Wolverine and the X-Men, which is a good show with a little bit po-faced, and Iron Man Armored Adventures, which is a show that is much better than its premise would have you believe. And
it's much better than anybody who doesn't watch it gives it credit for.
Yeah, it is really much better. I mean, if you try to describe Iron Man Armored Adventures, I wouldn't blame anybody for going, "Oh, that doesn't sound good," because there are a lot of really bad things built into the premise of Armored Adventures, but it barrels through them all. Nasty CGI animation, uninspired character designs, Teen Tony, not good things, but it smashes every obstacle in its way down to be a bloody entertaining series. But not quite as entertaining as Spectacular Spider-Man, which is
not quite.
But
I really hope Avengers is better than Spectacular Spider-Man, because I loved Spectacular Spider-Man, and since it's not coming back, I want Avengers to be my new awesome show.
I don't know if it can match Spectacular Spider-Man on the sheer intricacy of the character plotting and just because the strength of the characters and the character interactions are really what made Spectacular Spider-Man.
Yeah. I do have one question. Will the Avengers have the haunted tank?
That's the difference.
Oh, don't spoil nothing if nobody's seen it yet.
No. This has been like 3 weeks ago. Batman Brave and the Bold is so freaking awesome.
It is fantastic.
It's better than Batman the Animated Series. Sorry.
Did you see the new one that came on the other?
I haven't watched it yet, but
it's a Joker episode.
Oh, cool!
And a return of the Batmite.
But oh god, that's awesome. But the haunted tank was just so freaking out of left field. Thank you, Triple, for not spoiling that for me. That was
god, yeah, that's like the reason to watch that. But the episode is good. I like the episode, but that first 10 minutes,
oh my god,
you will never forget those first 10 minutes for the rest of your life.
Which episode is that? Which
episode? 2 episodes back. I think.
It's the Booster travels back to see Blue Beetle.
Damn, I only saw the Australian TV rip of that. It was missing the teaser.
Oh. See, the teaser was the reason to watch it.
Yes. That was a good episode.
Yes.
Avengers is awesome in a different way, but I really think that Avengers is going to be Marvel's Justice League. I really do.
I see a lot of potential in Ant-Man and Wasp. I see a lot of potential with Hulk. I see a lot of potential in really all the characters in the show. I really am looking forward to seeing more episodes.
Yeah.
It's going to be good.
Marvel finally have their big #1 hit that will run for a good length of time and not have the legs whipped out from under it like Spidey did.
And I'm really looking forward to Kane. Oh my god, am I looking forward?
I want
that is the plot I want to see come back, yeah.
Yes.
Now, to back to your question from earlier, Brian, I can't really say that Avengers or Superhero Squad is really one better than the other, since one is kind of like, almost a parody of Marvel over the last 4 decades, and the other one's trying to play it a little straighter. It's two completely different concepts.
It's easier to compare Superhero Squad and Brave and the Bold,
Yeah,
they're
still not
more.
Yeah, almost.
But Brave and the Bold, honestly, a Superhero Squad is for little kids. It really is. They try every now and again to make a joke for the older audience, but it just never seems to quite hit home in the way that a joke for the older audience made by Brave and the Bold does.
Or even, like the best show ever, really, for me to really illustrate that would be like Animaniacs, because Animaniacs was written on 2 levels. If they could achieve that with like Superhero Squad, that would be amazing.
No, Superhero Squad just doesn't manage that at all, but it's very good at being for little kids.
Yeah,
I think. To be honest, I couldn't keep up on watching Superhero Squad. It just didn't hold my attention. It got a few chuckles out of me. Like there was a really good one where the Avengers got kicked out of the mansion or something. I forget exactly. No, what was it? Oh no, that's right. They got thrown out of the Shield helicarrier.
Yeah, I go back to it every once in a while, and I saw the episode the other day where Miss Marvel falls in love with MODOK.
That was like the last one I saw. Actually, that was fun.
That was good.
But whenever they get kicked out of the helicarrier, they have to try and find somewhere to stay, and they try sleeping in the back of the Punisher's battle van.
Oh my god!
Yes.
And Doctor Strange's house.
Yeah.
They end up.
But they can't sleep there because the Punisher's so friggin' crazy.
So,
Punisher, great.
Yeah,
But anyway.
it's an unequal, but it's definitely one. I know Avengers. I need more of that, and I need that now. I could have quite happily sat and watched quite a lot of that after.
I could have watched a 2-hour opening. I could have watched the next 3 episodes or whatever, you know.
More now,
I'm
please.
for more.
And for any of the listeners in the UK, that's actually on Disney XD here tomorrow, Monday. They're not waiting before the series is launching tomorrow in the UK.
Nice.
Oh, and to mention, Cap, he's not in the first episode, just like in Avengers style. He wasn't there at the beginning.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, it looks like they're moving into that, but yeah, I mean, that's what I mean. The Avengers that you see in Breakout 2, like that they end up with, that is the original, Avengers set.
I'm guessing the Hulk is probably going to hang around longer than he did in the comics, though.
I hope so.
Oh yeah. So okay, well, this outrageous episode of Fanboy Versus must come to an end.
I blame Drift.
Please.
So we blame. But Amy, thanks for coming. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
So I'm sorry
Even
that
though
we
I'm a
did-
Drift fan and everybody else here isn't.
Yeah, but we don't hold that against you.
No.
We don't blame you for that. Anyway, so that's it. That's our show again. Listen at the end. That's how you find all the stuff about all of our other great shows, which you should be listening to, and you probably are if you're listening to this, because we don't have a lot of market penetration at this point. But there you
Come
go.
listen to the other things.
Yep, Underbit. And Ryan, what's our phone number again?
It's on our Facebook page, and I'm going to have to look at the Facebook page.
It's
while you're doing
93199
that-
GoBot.
Yeah, 93199 GoBot. That's it.
So,
Well,
again,
you-
please send us your feedback about both on spoilers, if you have any feedback for the show, and you can call us as well. Call us at that number, leave a message. You
If you
never
want
know.
to ask us any questions or
Yes.
suggest anything for us to look at,
Who
do
would
send
you
us
buy,
some-
Galactus or Unicron?
Yeah. Anyway,
Oh.
so, but
That's a
yeah,
good
please
question.
send
Who'd
us
win in
your
a fight, Silver Surfer or Galactus?
Silver
Silver
Surfer.
Galvatron.
Silver
Sure.
Surfer Drift. If it was by IDW, it would be Drift. Anyway.
And JD has the correct answer. Thank you.
Anyway, please, would you tune in next time when it's going to be Fanboy Versus